mini skirt on, dip my body in glitter. Platform sneakers, all the boys want a picture. Two foreign cars, I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya. Mini skirt on, dip my body
Hello. You're now tuned in to the A Little Bit A Lot podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, and welcome back to another episode. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I was so excited about this week's episode because I knew immediately what I wanted to talk about. And if you can't tell from the title, we are going to talk about the new Netflix movie called KPop Demon Hunters. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, then you can see clearly that I am decked out in KPop Demon Hunters merch. Okay, the second that I watched this film, I knew that I was a part of the Huntrix fandom. Okay, for those who don't know, the main girl group in the film is called Huntrix, and they are iconic. So let me try to move over a little bit so you can see on camera. I've got my Huntrix shirt on, okay, and I've got my light stick, my GOT7 light stick. For those who don't know, GOT7 is an amazing K-pop group, and I have been a fan of theirs for 10 years now, and I'm like, this movie makes me feel like I am truly at home. Okay, I'm in the living room, I got my Huntrix shirt on, and I got my GOT7 light stick because I don't have a Huntrix light stick, and I'm rocking and rolling and literally so lit off of this soundtrack. Oh my god, it's literally just the ultimate K-pop lover's dream. So I'm like, I gotta come on the pod in my K-pop uniform, okay? Is that serious? I absolutely loved this film, and I know that I'm a little bit late to the party because I think the film came out in June, and it's now July, and I just now watched it this week. But I kept procrastinating. I knew that when I heard that the movie was going to be a thing, I immediately knew I wanted to watch it. But life has been so hectic, I just hadn't got around to it yet. So this weekend, I'm like, okay, I'm finally, free for the weekend. I'm going to sit down, really get into it, and give this movie the time that it deserves because I already have a strong feeling that I'm going to like it. And I loved it. So I have watched the film now 3 times. And every single time I've watched it, it's literally just feels like it's the first time that I'm watching the film. So I took some notes as I was watching it the last time that I wanted to share with you guys so I could kind of give you my thoughts throughout the film and kind of just review the film just from a K-pop fan's perspective. And before we get into the episode, like I said, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. If you could give this video a like, it would mean the world to me, and comment down below to let me know, what did you think about this film? I'm really excited to get to know what everybody else's thoughts were. So far, it seems like it is a hit and everyone loves it. So let me know in the comments and subscribe. I'm now on my road to my first 800 subscribers. We are so close to 1K that I can taste it. This community is really growing into something so beautiful, a safe space for the girlies, gays, and nays, and all the fangirls to just come together, talk about pop culture, movies, TV, mental health, you name it. So if you do subscribe, I know that you won't regret it. We have such a good time over here every week just talking about whatever comes to my mind, and it's just always so much fun. So go ahead and subscribe so that way you can join the community and turn those post notifications on so you don't miss an episode. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys too. I can't even talk. I'm so excited. But yeah, I appreciate you guys as well. So rate that 5 stars on Spotify and Apple and leave a review to let me know what you think about the show. There's also a follow button on Spotify and Apple. If you click that follow button, then you will be staying up to date with the show as well. So I would really appreciate that so we can continue to keep growing this amazing community. So let me go ahead and get my iPad so I can get into my notes with you guys, because we have quite a few things to discuss. I have been, like I said, a K-pop fan for over 10 years now, and my ultimate group, just to give you guys a little background of where I come from as far as being a K-pop fan, like I said, with my light stick, my ultimate favorite group is GOT7. But over the years, I have been a fan of and listened to all different types of groups. When I first started off, I also went into like looking at, K-pop history, and I was like, really liked Big Bang. But ultimately, the ones that I've like gravitated to like the most over the years outside of GOT7 is Red Velvet. I really like BTS, 2PM, Monsta X, EXO, Twice, Blackpink, The Seraphim, NCT, New Jeans, 17, In Flying. Those are just like the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. There's more, I'm sure. Crush, Dean, a little bit of KR&B in there. I even like a lot of Jay Park's music as well. I also even had an era with Icon, though I think, are they still signed to YG? Are they still a group? But I remember I watched their reality show where they were, competing to be in the group, and that was like an era for me. For sure. So those are just a few of the groups that I've been a fan of, like I said, over this last decade. So I knew that I was really, really excited to watch this film. So with my notes beginning at the beginning of the film, I wrote down that I love how the movie starts with the fans waiting for the concert. And I love that the fans are the ones that start giving us the details about what we should know about the members of Huntrix as a K-pop group. And then we also get the background of what we should know about them as Demon Hunters, with Celine kind of giving us that story. So Celine giving us the story of them as Demon Hunters, and the fans giving us the story of them as a K-pop group really, set the tone at the beginning of the film. And I really liked that. And especially with the fans being at the concert, I just resonated with that feeling so much of that excitement when you're waiting to see your favorites at the show. Like, they portrayed that feeling so well. And them having like all of the signs that they made and the light sticks was so cool to see as a K-pop fan. And I also love that within the fans like waiting for the show, they also had a mix of showing like people that were there that were solo stans, or people who clearly like have a bias, which is like another word for their favorite in the group. And they also showed a lot of fans that were there who just love all three of the members of the group equally, because I think that was important to show, because that's a real thing when it comes to like the fandoms of like really any group, even outside of K-pop. You're gonna have your people who are like, no, I just like all three. And then you're gonna have people who are like solo stans or just really strongly lean towards their favorite. And then we move on to the first song. The first song in the film being How It's Done. I wrote down that I felt like that was so iconic because that song is such a bop. I felt like it really brought the energy and set the tone for the film. And it gave like Blackpink coded, and I lived down for it. I also wrote down them fighting demons on a plane and then skydiving off the plane while fighting the demons mid-air, then landing on the stage and performing and serving face while still fighting and finishing off the rest of the demons had me gagged. Like, that was such an amazing sequence. I literally have chills right now thinking about it. Like, how do you serve that much while doing all of those things? It was like incredible to me. And the fans were literally eating it up. Like, they had no clue that those were real demons standing right next to them. Like, it's just amazing. How it's done. Like, oh, that song is so good. I wrote down that I also liked the fact that they showed the manager's phone, and it showed that Huntrix was #1 on the top 10 chart at the moment, and that the girl group Twice was the second group. That really made me chuckle, because for those who don't know, Twice is an actual K-pop group like in real life. So the fact that they were #2 to Huntrix was like so crazy to me. I also love the fact that the two members, Mira and Zoe, and for those who haven't watched the film, I would assume if you're watching this, you've watched it. But for those who don't know, the main members of the K-pop group that the movie is centered around, Huntrix, their names are Rumi, who I would assume is the leader, and then you have Mira and Zoe. So once they were done with the show, the last show of the tour that we got to watch them perform at, they were basically really excited about having a break after this. So Mira and Zoe like getting comfy in their robes and being like couch, 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 and like just excited to be on the couch and take a break from being K-pop stars was like so cute to see. And then like Rumi immediately being like, no, our work is not done. We're not actually going to take a break. We need to drop our next single. And she dropped their next song, which is called Golden. It's so real to me because I wrote, sometimes it really seems like these groups do not get a break before they jump into their next comeback. I also wrote down that I think that it was important that they showed the effect of Rumi's fear of her patterns being revealed and how that effect had, tremendous, I should say repercussions on her mental health, because she was having a literal anxiety attack when she was preparing for the Golden comeback performance. And it was just, really interesting to me because she knew that theoretically they needed to take a break before getting ready for the Golden comeback. But because she was so stressed about making sure that they continued to do what they needed to do to seal the honeymoon, you could really see her worry there and that anxiety. And I think that was like important because not only does that add like depth to her character and that humanity for us to really get to see her fears, but I think that it also kind of, applies to like real life and just being a K-pop star, being a celebrity or just being a human, like who has a job, period. Like sometimes you have to show up and you show out because it's what you need to do, but you have those worries and those doubts and things that you feel like are holding you back from, having your full potential. And I really liked that they put that in there. And for those who don't know, Rumi has these patterns on her body because her dad was a demon and her mom was also a hunter. And the hunters are basically there to be K-pop stars as day, and they're demon hunters at night. And Rumi, since she was born with a demon dad, she has patterns on her body that clearly show that she's a demon because all of the demons have these patterns on them. And as she's gotten older, the patterns have gotten more intense. And she, her auntie or like her adopted mom has been telling her that, okay, once you continue to keep using your voice for good, fighting the demons and doing what you need to do to use your voice for good to fight the demons, then you can build this thing called the Han Moon, which is basically this like layer of protection that they use with their voices and the energy of their fans to basically create like a shield around, like on top of the earth, to basically fend off the demons. The demons can't penetrate that shield and everyone is protected. So that is really her number one goal, is to strengthen the Han Moon. And that way, once it's sealed, she can hopefully get rid of her patterns and she doesn't have to worry about being, part demon anymore. So I like the fact that that was like a real big driving point for her throughout the film, fighting what she was born as and being like, I'm not going to embrace this demon side of me. I want to choose hope and I want to focus on, good and strengthening the Han Moon and getting rid of these patterns. But yeah, that's just like a little bit of like backstory context for that. And then I also wrote down that I loved that when Huntrix ran into the Saja Boys for the first time, it was kind of like a slow motion moment between Rumi and Jinu. Like it just gave K-drama, because for those who like do watch K-dramas, like that was just so K-drama coded and I literally ate that up. And that's when the Saja Boys then immediately start performing in the streets for their debut. I feel like that performance was so good. Like, do newer K-pop groups even still do that? Because my sister and I used to watch a lot of Inflying doing like busking videos. And for those who don't know, busking is basically just them performing in the streets. And it's a way to like be able to get the group a little bit more exposure and stuff like that. So the fact that that was like Saja Boys' like first thing that they wanted to do was like busking in the streets was like really, really interesting. Soda Pop is such a cutesy song and I really understand why they chose to go with that. route for their debut single. Like all of them were just like so adorable. Like the animators did such a good job at like making them hot, but also like making, you know, the girl group Huntrix like super attractive as well. Like they are literally like, they serve face, you know what I mean? Like body tea for like both the girls and the guys. And I love it so much. So like we stand Soda Pop. And for those who don't know, Saja Boys are basically just a demon K-pop group who were sent from the Demon King to then break the Han Moon so that way the world isn't protected anymore and he can feed on the souls of all of Huntrix fans. And of course Huntrix are like, we don't want that. Like, we don't want these demon K-pop boys like taking the souls of our fans. Like, our job is to protect them from demons. Like, what the freak? So that immediately creates like the biggest conflict other than like Rumi hiding her patterns like in the film. And I just also love the fact that the Saja Boys did a variety show appearance. Like that was such a fun scene because whenever GOT7, you know, my favorite group would do like variety shows during their comebacks, like that was always like my favorite thing to watch. And then them introducing Rumi's second huge internal conflict after her first conversation with Jinu, I thought was interesting. I wrote down that seeing her struggle with the idea that demons aren't exactly what she thought they were changes a lot for her, I'm sure. And she knows that they have, you know, eternal shame and suffering after the Demon King has preyed on them. That makes her, you know, more understanding. I also wrote down that I loved seeing the girls write Takedown in real time. That was so iconic. Like Takedown is such a bop. And I love how they were like, okay, well, if we're going to try to defeat these Saja Boys and keep them from, you know, preying on our fans, we should write a diss track about them. It's like we later see that they're like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, but seeing, you know, how much work they put into the song was really nice to see. And then after that, you know, they had a fan sign, and oh my goodness, seeing the Huntrix and Saja Boys doing a joint fan sign was so much fun because as a K-pop fan, I always wish that I could be a part of a fan sign like in Korea. And like whenever they would like, fans would be there, the videos that they would record of the group were always like so cute. That was always my dream, to like be able to go to a GOT7 fan sign. Like so adorable. And I thought it was interesting that they had that Rumi ended up deciding to have them do a joint fan sign. And I also thought it was interesting that a lot of the fans were shipping Rumi and Jinu together, because I feel like in real life a lot of fans don't like when K-pop, you know, girls and boys interact in that way closely. And a lot of them seem to not really like shipping the two because they don't really want them to date. So I don't know how that would go, you know, come across in real life, but in the movie, the fans were living for it. But I feel like online, if that were real life, a lot of people on Twitter would be like throwing hate and shade towards them being together, because no shade, no tea. A lot of the girlies online, they do not want a girl to even, like a K-pop idol girl, to even look in the direction or breathe in the direction of their favorite boy group. Also, I wanted to note, like, Jinu telling Rumi that he was over 400 years old gives Edward Cullen energy from Twilight to me. Like, bro, you're 400? Like, is this even like... I mean, I guess it makes it okay in this context, because I think the director of the movie said that Huntrix, the girls are in their 20s, so they're not minors the way that Bella was when she met Edward. So I guess that makes it okay. But still, the age difference between these two is pretty crazy to me. I also wrote down that seeing how hard Huntrix were working to fight demons at night while preparing for the Idol Awards, yet having the Han Moon continue to grow weaker because they're losing their fan souls to the Saja Boys, had me really, really scared for them. Like in that moment, you're feeling like, okay, I understand that this is a high stakes moment. I also wrote down that speaking of the Idol Awards, I love how it's important for not only the Huntrix music career being at the Idol Awards, but it's also important for them as Demon Hunters having the Idol Awards because it's the night that they get to strengthen the honeymoon the most, I think is what Rumi said or something like that. So that was really interesting. And I was like wondering as I was watching it, I wrote down, would we compare the annual Idol Awards in the movie to like the Mamas or the Golden Disc Awards in K-pop, like in real life? And I also love the fact that both groups, the Saja Boys and Huntrix, won at the weekly music shows, because like when I was first becoming a K-pop fan, learning that they could like have wins at the weekly music shows was always so exciting. And like I remember when I was like first being a fan of Monsta X, every time they would have a comeback and they would go to the weekly music shows, we always wanted them to have a win, and they would never win. And I can't remember like what era it was that Monsta X finally had their first win at the weekly music shows, but once they finally did, it was like, oh my goodness, praised be, like hallelujah. So I love that they incorporated like having the weekly music shows in there as well. Then Rumi and Jinu singing Free had me levitating, guys. Like, oh my god, like those vocals on that song on both ends are so iconic. But oh my god, Rumi, what if we was broken? Like, she's belting on that song. It sounds so good. Once again, I have chills right now, guys, thinking about Free. But then it's like when Jinu comes on the song and he's like, my good, like he's spitting, like he's really like low-key rapping on that song. You're waking up on the parts of me that I thought were buried for good. Ugh. Love, love, love Free. I think that might be my favorite song this week. I really have a feeling that my favorite song is going to change every single week, right? But this week, Free takes the cake. Me and my boyfriend have been listening to that song together like on repeat. We both love it. Also, speaking of like Rumi and Jinu having their little romantic moment when they were singing Free together, I am so upset because I heard that we were supposed to get a Rumi and Jinu aquarium date, and they were also supposed to kiss, and they cut it out the film. Like, are you kidding me right now? I feel like them having the aquarium date and meeting up a couple more times and kissing, like, and us seeing that as an audience would have given their connection with, more depth for us as an audience. Because at first I was like, how does she feel this deeply for this boy when she's only talked to him like twice, like in the moment it felt like it was kind of rushed, and I'm like, why is their connection so deep when we haven't even really seen them interact that much? But in reality, if they did actually see each other quite more often than we were shown and kissed, then okay, that makes sense why they feel so deeply for each other like that quick. But at the same time, I understand why they had to cut it out, and either way you still feel their connection when they sing Free. But I know that they needed to just hurry things along in the film, but it would have really been nice, like I said, to be able to have that depth added to their connection, and us to be able to see that aquarium date and we'd be able to see that kiss. Like, we were robbed. Also, I love that Rumi was able to choose Hope, and ask Jinu to work with her and say, hey, you should let Huntrix win, at the Idol Awards over the Saja Boys, so that way we can seal the honeymoon and we can save you from the Demon King. But then I was spooked, because once Huntrix went to the Idol Awards and the performance was going so well, the demons then like ruining it by pretending to be Mira and Zoe and ripping off like Rumi's jacket, exposing her patterns, had me like screaming. I'm like, oh my god, like it was just crazy, because like I said, it was going so well. Like her singing Golden, like interacting with the fans, she got up on that little like spinny thing and she's like floating above the crowd, like like she's flying in the air, guys. Like, this is a magical performance. Like, if I was at the Idol Awards that year and I was in the crowd, I'd be like, whoa, like Rumi is literally tearing that stage up. And then it suddenly goes to takedown, and now it looks like the girls are like beefing with each other on stage. I'd be like, what's going on? Like, what? Like, that was absolutely sick. on Jinu's part. You know what I mean? To like then have those demons go out there and bully Rumi like that and rip off her jacket and expose her patterns. Like, are you kidding me right now? But at the same time, I wrote down, I do understand why it was needed. You know, having that moment where she's like exposed in front of the entire world on stage at the Idol Awards with her pattern showing, because we needed to push her outside of her comfort zone and she needed to come clean, you know, to her members. And it also, I think having that moment really forced her to face her insecurities about the patterns and accept them, you know? But I'm also annoyed because then that forced Rumi to talk to Celine, who, like I said earlier, was the person that raised her, you know, after her mom passed away. And during this chat that she has with Celine, like, she's going to her being like, girl, you know, the honeymoon is a wreck. Like, everything is a mess. And in that conversation, you can really see why Celine is a big reason that Rumi has shame about how she was born and, you know, who she is. And I think that Celine telling Rumi that, like, no, we can still work things out and, you know, seal the honeymoon if you just continue to hide who you are, was crazy work to me. Like, it's really getting crazy out here. The fight is almost done and the Demon King is gonna win. And this is your rebuttal? Like, that's your rebuttal, Celine? Like, you're really gonna look at me in the face and tell me that no, we can still figure this out and I can just continue to hide who I am? And then it's like, why should she have to turn around and tell Zoe and Mira that all of that was a joke and that she's really not part demon? Like, you tried that. You've tried that route her entire life and clearly it's not working anymore. So I just feel like Celine's energy just gives baby boomer, in my opinion, because so many elders in society just feel like their way is the best way to handle things and they don't realize that that's what's holding us back. And also, I wrote down, where was Celine the entire movie? Because you see, like, you can see that it looks crazy outside and that the honeymoon is in shambles. So why didn't you come check on the girls? Like, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I wrote down, proud of Rumi for then going out and attempting to take down the Demon King, you know, on her own anyway. Because sometimes when your elders aren't listening to you, you're just like, okay, skip it. I'm gonna just figure it out on my own and I'm gonna, you know, create my own path. Like, if you're not with me, then get lost, I guess. So that was like really iconic of her to do. And then the Saja Boys then putting out an announcement about how sad they are that Huntrix broke up, but then telling everyone that they're about to perform somewhere else was so petty to me. Like, like, aw, we're sad. We're sad the Huntrix are done. But anyway, come see us perform. Like, skip you. Like, the Saja Boys were petty. Like, well, oh, anyway.
She passed away? Oh. All right.
Like, y'all are dead wrong. Like, you know you're dead wrong for that. And then, of course, I wrote down that I was gagged that then that led to Mira, Zoe, and even their manager to give into their doubt and their shame. And they got brainwashed by the Demon King and were convinced to go watch the Saja Boys perform. I'm like, what, guys? Wake up. Like, wake up. Like, Mira and Zoe still being in their, like, costume from the Idol Awards, walking with everybody in the crowd to go see the Saja Boys was sick. That was absolutely sick. And then that leads us to the Saja Boys performing Your Idol. That performance was insane in all the best ways. Like, I like Your Idol even more than Soda Pop. Like, guys, can I be honest? Is this a safe space? Is this a safe space that I've created? Your Idol hits 10 times harder than Soda Pop. Like, personally, I love a cutesy little fun song, but Your Idol is totally like my type of vibe when it comes to a comeback. So I was eating that up. And I wrote down that I would have been a Saja Boys victim right then and there. I already know it. I'd be like, yep, they got me. Y'all, they got me. Like, wait, like, They're everything. I'm sorry. Like, I'm just a girl. I'm literally just a girl. Like, I would have been a victim, a Saja Boys victim after seeing your idol. I already know it. Like, there goes my soul. I don't know. But then I wrote down that Rumi showing up and singing What It Sounds Like, therefore reuniting the Huntrix members to build a Hanmoon, a new Hanmoon, a completely new Hanmoon, strong enough to defeat the Demon King in one performance, was a slay. Like, girls, y'all better eat that in one night. What we've been building for the past 5 years, we can rebuild and make anew. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Like, are you kidding me? Demon King, who? That was iconic. Like, seriously. Like, 8 down. Like, give Huntrix their 10s. Doing a Hanmoon completely new in one day. What? Also, their harmonies on What It Sounds Like it's like so incredible. I was absolutely levitating during that song. It's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. And I also have down that they also have Jinu's help with their fight against the Demon King, which I loved. And that just had me like screaming, because him protecting Rumi and telling her that she's the reason why he got his soul back. And then him giving it to her to help with the Hanmoon had me out of my seat. Are you kidding me? And then what I thought was really interesting too was like the fact that after Jinu then sacrificed himself, gave her his soul, right? It went straight into her like sword thingy that she uses to like then slay the Demon King. So I'm like, is he living in her sword still? Like, then is there a possibility that like we can get him back in the second movie if we get one? I don't know, but that was just an interesting thing that I noticed. Like, Jinu dying after sacrificing himself at the end of this movie was not on my bingo card. Okay. And I'm sick about it. Like, sick to my stomach. Like, the filmmakers knew what they were doing. They knew that they were rotted. They knew that they were so rotted and like disturbing for killing him.
Death to all of them.
Because like, why did he need to die? Death to Jinu when we had so much hope that he could turn his life around. And it's like, at the end, I know that it was like beautiful that he was able to get his soul back and was able to be finally selfless in the end and choose someone else, you know, other than himself. And I think that's kind of like, okay, that's showing that's the whole point, because that's how he became a demon, because he chose himself over others, where this time he's choosing Rumi over his own soul and giving his soul. So that's kind of his redemption. So they're like, okay, there's no point in him living. I get it in theory, but does it feel good in reality? No, you know? And honestly, I feel bad for the rest of the Saja Boys as well, because they could very well have a sad story, backstory, you know, that is worthy of redemption, just like Jinu. You know, what about romance? What about mystery? What about Abby? What about Baby? They didn't deserve to be able to have their souls given back, and, you know, them potentially right their wrongs for what made them become demons in the beginning as well. Like, what about them? Like, I just feel like there's so much more opportunity for them to be able to like flesh out so much more of the story if we were given more time with the film. Like, honestly, if this movie was 3 hours long, I would have been sat regardless and watched all 3 hours, you know? Or even if it was like Wicked, part 1, part 2, give us something. In my opinion, I feel like Netflix didn't really anticipate how much people were going to love this film. And if they did, they would have given like them more time to be able to flesh out more of the story. Because I honestly feel like we need a prequel so we can learn more about Rumi's parents and like Celine. But then we also need like an extended version of the film so we can learn more about the world building within the story that we already got. And then we also deserve a part 2. so we can like be able to get even more information about the story and then like new adventures after that too. So yeah, that's like 2 extra films plus an extended version of the main that I think we deserve. And then on top of that, once all of that's done, we could then get a K-pop Demon Hunters TV show. That would eat. Imagine even if we just got like an 8-episode season, you know, like that would be something. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, they're feeding us crumbs at this point with this movie. Like, we need more. It was already so good, but like there could be so much more that we could get. I don't know. But yeah, in the end, I just love that at least Huntrix were able to, you know, defeat the Demon King, and Rumi is able to be herself with her patterns publicly and stay in the group. So that was really, really nice to see in the end. And I was trying to figure out, you know, how did I feel about it? And like I said, what did I take away ultimately from all of the lessons learned from the movie? But I ended up going on TikTok and I saw this girl, and she like wrote down all of her takeaways, and I'm like, okay, I really resonate with that. A lot of these takeaways are the same feelings that I had, so I'm like, I may as well share that. And on TikTok, her account is called at W, I don't know how to say it, but it's spelled WHOOSDIN. And the first takeaway that she wrote that I agree with is, when you fully accept your flaws, insecurities, and differences, no one can use them against you. Perfection doesn't save the world. Truth, acceptance, and your voice do. And I'm like, clock it. Like, that is such a great takeaway from this film. Another takeaway that the film can give you when you watch it is that you can really learn that your past is not your past. You deserve redemption and hope, not because the world says so, but because you choose it for yourself. The third one is, no one gets to decide who's beyond saving. We're not defined by our worst parts. We're shaped by how we face them. And the fourth takeaway that you can get from this film is, you don't have to be a hero to be worthy. You know, like, even with darkness and scars and mistakes, you can still fight for light and be the light for others. So in the end, I think that this film will more than likely be in my list of comfort movies, like Twilight, you know, the Twilight Saga, Freaky Friday, and Princess Diaries. Like, that's definitely going up there in the list. And I ultimately want to say, I'm like, okay, who would be my bias in Huntrix, right? Because if it's a K-pop group, I gotta have a bias. And I think ultimately my bias would be Mira, right? And in Saja Boys, my bias would be Baby, because I'm just a sucker for a rapper. So let me know on YouTube in the comments, if you're watching over there, who is your bias in Huntrix and who would be your bias in the Saja Boys. And if you're on Spotify, you can also comment on there as well. Let me know if you made it all the way to the end, who your bias is in both groups. I would love to know and chat with you guys. Or you can like DM me on Instagram at A Little Bit A Lot Podcast, or TikTok at A Little Bit A Lot Podcast, and let me know who your bias is, or if you enjoyed this episode or the movie. So yes, those are overall my thoughts about the film. As a K-pop fan watching the film, I was just really excited and loved all of the little aspects of like kind of how loosely they kind of tied up what like idols go through, you know, in the film, from the street performances, the variety show appearances that they do, the weekly shows that they get the opportunity to win, showing that, you know, they can potentially be number one on the charts is, you know, a really real thing that I love that they put in there. Like I said, them having fan signs, them, you know, going to the Idol Awards, like all of that stuff is like very real in the K-pop world. So seeing them do all of those things in the film was so cute. And like them, you know, being involved in their music career, them writing their own songs and producing their own songs, and them, you know, having a big say so in their choreography. That's a very real thing for some groups too. You know, GOT7, they're very involved with writing their own music and helping with choreography for a lot of their performances. I know not all groups are able to get the opportunity to have, you know, creative control, but there's like quite a few of them that do. So I just really loved it. Like the K-pop aspect of it was very real and like pretty much, you know, accurate in my opinion. Like, yes, it's like kind of a big overall stereotype, but ultimately, like, there's a lot of, you know, like I said, very real aspects in there that were pretty cool to see on film. I also love the fact that so many different like real life idols are also really enjoying this film. I know it's probably got to feel like crazy to watch, like if you're an actual K-pop idol watching this movie and being like, hey, like that's what I do. Like that's what I do for a living too. I don't, you know, slay demons, but the other part is like pretty accurate. And I've just been really enjoying seeing like members of BTS, you know, Jungkook, he seems to really like this film, and seeing him react to the movie and him being like upset that Jinu sacrificed himself in the end was so funny when he was on live being like, he's so silly for doing that. Like, why do you have to die? Like, Jungkook is just like us, y'all. Like, he wasn't too happy about that ending as well. But also like seeing how much he likes the soundtrack, and like other members of BTS are enjoying it, and like seeing Monster X, you know, cover the choreography, and like Wano from Monster X, like him literally doing like Abby cosplay and like performing the song on his channel was like super cute to see. So love it down. Shout out to the people who were also a part of like writing the soundtrack and creating the songs. Like you can just tell that they had such an incredibly talented roster of singers and songwriters and composers and producers on this album, because they really seemed like they really wanted to get it right when it came to like that K-pop like feel and make genuinely good music. Like the songs actually hit, and they're actually like good K-pop songs, and I just really appreciate how well produced they are, how well written they are, how the messages in the stories can also apply to real life, like triumphs and struggles, but they also apply so well to the script and the movie as well. Like it's just so iconic. Like what more could you ask for? You know what I mean? Like when it comes to a movie that's like also low-key a musical, it just 10, you know? So I got to get my Saja Boys t-shirt as well, because it's really that serious. And this is not my first time like standing a like virtual K-pop group, because for those who don't know, League of Legends is a video game, and they also created a virtual K-pop group called KDA. I think I've talked about it on the show before. May or may not. I don't know. I half the time don't even remember what I talk about every week on here. So my bad if I have. But I've been a fan of KDA for a couple of years now too, because they're like a fake group, but they're also like very real in the fact that they drop real music and have music videos and stuff. So like that's kind of the same with Huntrix. So anytime there's an opportunity to stan a like animated K-pop group, I live for it. I'm also a fan of like another animated group that's like not necessarily K-pop when it comes to Pop Mart. I've talked about it before. They have their line of blind boxes called Peach Riot, and they make music and drop music for them as well in real life. So any animated group, like sign me up, you know what I mean? We stand KDA, we stand Peach Riot, Huntrix, Saja Boys. I'm here for it. So Netflix, please do your big one if you really care, and give us another movie. I would really be greatly appreciated. Y'all be fumbling the bag on all these other shows and ones that people really like, and not, you know, continuing to give us more seasons of stuff. But I don't think that you guys can afford to fumble this. The data is there. Okay, like the streams are there. People are streaming the music. Like if you don't see how much of a success this is and capitalize on that and give us a second movie, you're tripping. And I mean, they may have already said that we're getting a second one, and I don't know because I didn't look it up. So if they did, let me know. But I'm really, really hoping for one. So yes, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I had so much fun talking about this, and it really just makes me want to go watch the movie again a fourth time because it's that serious. But like I said at the beginning, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, like I said, rate that 5 stars and leave a review to let me know what you think about the show. And with that, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Cause I make rich look richer. Save your breath, baby, I'm not going home with ya.